ESIC. So, right, I'm going to say some stuff that I don't know how on board people are going to be with a lot of today, honestly, because I'm watching the community reaction, and I've got to be honest, I'm really fucking confused. So, just to set the scene, ESIC back in 2020 was brought to their attention principally by I think now a former ESL admin, or maybe a freelance admin, called Michal, that basically people have been exploiting a variety of bugs in online games. There were bugs where you could load into the game, be in a fixed camera position, and use that to gain information the coach wouldn't ordinarily contextually have. And this was very rare. You could get like a no-clip mode, essentially, where you could like literally fly all around the map and convey information to the players about where other players were if you wanted to. And the most common one was you got this fixed third-person bug where you were in third-person mode on all the players, and you could sweep around to use it to sort of see around corners maybe you couldn't see. And anyway, Michal had made a piece of software that basically could go through a demo, and there was lots of them. They went through like 7 years worth at this stage. Well, no, it would have been 5 at the time. They went back 5 years, looked at all the online games, and it flagged up any instance of the bug that occurred. He then made clips at great length, because this was like over 15 terabytes of demos. He then made clips of where the instance occurred, made it into a YouTube video and listed it, sent it across to ESIC. ESIC were then supposed to roll out the bans. And so far, so good, because we all know about the famous 37 coaches that got banned in the first instance, right? We all remember that. We all remember the big Hunden drama that came off the back of that as well. And so everybody's been waiting on the end of the coaching bug drama. What I don't think people realize is how many instances of this bug occurred, and you are talking lots. I've seen the full list. And so ESIC, probably unbeknownst to a lot of people, there's been like a lot of kind of internal shuffles. My understanding is there were some issues around another investigation they did, probably the Australian one, and so they had to do a big like kind of shuffle and, switch who did what and who's looking at this and who's looking at that. That seems to have ended up putting the investigation on hold for a while. Then, with this major coming around, because Valve originally ratified and supported ESIC's findings in January 2021, the original bans being October 2020, they then said, right, we're going to go back, we're going to swoop in, we're going to take a look at all the video clips again, get all our new team up to speed again, and we're going to start issuing bans. Anyway, fast forward to today, they have said ahead of the major that 3 coaches are going to be suspended and not allowed to play at the major for the bug instances. And this has generated a drama in the community, which I'm really, I shouldn't be surprised. Nothing should surprise me right now with the Counterstrike community. What they've now turned around and said, ESIC are the bad guys in this, and how dare they take away majors from people, even if they cheated, because the infractions were from 14 months ago, some cases, longer than that. Now, I'm really confused by that attitude, but I guess we'll get into that in a second. Let's start with just to sort of push back against that silly little idea. So I reported a month ago, right? So in March, that coaching bans were to come ahead of the major, right? I reported this in March, right? You can see, this is the title of the article, more coaching bans to come as ESIC finalised delayed investigation. And see, sources have informed Deserto ESIC is set to hand out more bans for abusive in-game coaching bugs as 2 investigations are being finalised. And specifically within this report, it said that they are looking to accelerate their announcement ahead of the major, right? That's the 29th of March. So if you then look at just to kind of give you a rough idea of the timeline, ESIC released another statement through dust2.us where they said, and this was as part of their live conference that I was meant to attend but couldn't because I got the COVID, right? It says there, expect to see a great increase in the number of sanctions over the next 6 to 12 months. They said that. They even talked specifically about that the investigations they got coming down the pipe were going to be coming out soon, coming ahead of the major. Okay? So they said that there. Then, also via Dust2.us, ESIC confirms intentions to release new wave of coach bug bans this week, right? And on top of that, as we also know, there was also a report at the tail end of April that tipped the hat to one of the coaches on Jackson because they published a video of Peacemaker actually using the no-clip mode, saying what game it was going to be in. And so everyone was like, right, well, Peacemaker's getting banned. So what I'm surprised about, what I don't understand, is how is anybody surprised at the timing of the announcement? I really, really, really don't get it. And look, like, the sole purpose of doing it this way was because this is long overdue, it's long outstanding. And what would happen if a coach that had cheated went to a major, won a major, and then was banned for an infraction that had occurred before the major? Wouldn't that be worse? Wouldn't we be more upset about that? I think we would. I think more people would be mega upset. They would call it an illegitimate tournament. They would say the win was illegitimate. They would say the team don't deserve it. They would cry favoritism. So people have been saying ESIC, they're not transparent, you know, like we don't understand what it is that they're doing. Well, to prime the pump for the bans, and it's 3 bans, and we're going to go through the bans. To prime the pump for the bans coming, they released a pre-statement statement that explained the methodology, the rationale, how they thought about the bans, why it was being done this way, why they were splitting it up into pre and post major. It was all there. It's just no one fucking reads anything because it's esports and everyone's a cretin. So it said specifically in this report, right, and I'm not going to read it all because it's 4 pages. It said, right, first of all, why we've opted to make a statement ahead of our announcement. While ESIC is aware the spectator bug matter has been acted for an extended period of time, it has been deemed necessary that ESIC make an interim release ahead of ESIC's upcoming enforcement activity in the public interest. It is essential that a transparent public record of ESIC's classification and treatment of the spectator bug variants is available ahead of any new charges laid by ESIC against esports participants. Accordingly, within this statement and for each spectator bug variant, ESIC intends to set out details of the nature of the specific spectator bug variant, ESIC's assessment of the impact of the spectator bug variant on competitive integrity, and ESIC's penalty mechanism corresponding to that specific spectator bug variant. Now also, I do want to remind everybody, the CSPPA were pushing to get the bans before the major. The people who rep the players, they wanted it. You remember that? I did an interview with Stico on the Richard Lewis show. And now, morons on Reddit and you know, on other socials and Team Spirit are all like, but who is the ESIC? Why are they doing it this way? Why are they stealing majors away from these players? Your representative body pushed for this. Or rather, the representative body of all of the players. It's like, what the fuck is going on? Anyway, just to make it abundantly clear, because everyone's like, oh, well, the Halley cheat, which we'll look at, he doesn't even see an enemy. How bad can it be? It's there in black and white. It is important to note that ESIC does not view the outcome of an unfair advantage being achieved as a necessary factor of the threat created by the static spectator bug. Rather, the mere potential for exploitation and its utilization by the affected participants created an unrectified opportunity for an unfair advantage. So in other words, what they are saying there, in plain English, is they don't care whether you got an advantage. What they care about is you were in a bug that could potentially confer an advantage. You didn't log out, you didn't tell an admin, you didn't replay the round. You could have gained an advantage, therefore they're going to issue a sanction. Now, also here, they go through each of the variants, breaking it all down. They even talk about, a little bit, about why it took so long to get it out. It took, I think that's on the first page, actually. They said, look, the investigation into the historical abuse of the spectator bug comprised of 99,650 video demos, approximately 15.2 terabytes of data, across 3 different bugs, all of which they had to have internal discussions, external discussions about, do we treat the no-clip bug the same as the static bug? What about the third-person bug? Do you have to move your mouse for it to count? Because I'll tell you, having seen the complete list, if you think that Halley ban's bad, you're gonna be pissed off about some of these other coaches getting 30 days. Some of them are just in third-person mode and don't confer. They don't get any information whatsoever or even change player, and it's for 1 round only. Now, we can have a discussion about precedent. We can have a discussion about harshness. We can have a discussion about proportionality. But right out the gate, anyone who was saying ESIC didn't telegraph that it was coming before the major, that nobody knew it was before the major, that ESIC haven't quantified what they were going to do, or haven't transparently explained how they've arrived at the conclusions they are, is a fucking moron and or a liar. End of discussion. That is all there is to it. It cannot be argued to the contrary. It is there in black and white. You just chose to ignore it. Now, I'll tell you another thing. At the moment, ESIC say, right, coaching bans are coming down before the major. At the moment, I publicly report it, that they're coming down before the major. If you're a coach and you use the bug and you suspect you might be affected, it's on you to reach out to the ESIC, isn't it? What happened with these coaches that got banned here is they sat there and thought, shit, is it me? And then when it was them, and they got banned, they went, well, why couldn't you ban me 40 months ago? Why couldn't you have come forward? Why couldn't you have confessed? Why couldn't you have made everyone's job easier and held your hands up? Oh, that's right, you wanted to get away with it. So I'm not going to have any sympathy for you that the fact that the bans don't suit your timetable. Sorry, that's not the debate I'm having. It's a waste of everyone's time. You know what you did. Also, I can have a broader philosophical conversation about, well, this happened in 2015, Richard, this happened in 2017, it's ancient history. All right, sure. Maybe there should be a statute of limitations on some of these, but for whatever reason, there's not. And I don't make that decision. And so, here we go. This is where we're at. And the problem we've got is, you were all out there, yes, Queen! You were all yas queening when ESIC banned them 37 coaches. You all loved it then. Nobody pushed back. No community rejected it. Team Spirit, who are now pretending, who are ESIC? What does it mean? Who are they? Who are these people? We've never met them. Oh, God, no. They're doing that now. Where was your objection when 37 coaches got banned? Why did no org, except those affected, ever object to ESIC's authority? Why? Because it was the opposition. It put your opposition at a disadvantage. It smeared their name. It didn't affect you, so you didn't care. So the idea now that you are rising up against some kind of like lawless authority who, again, spoiler, as I will demonstrate, any team claiming they don't know who ESIC is if they play at Tier 1 competition is also lying. Their name is in the rule books. You are explicitly bound by their code of conduct. If you play in ESL, if you play in Blast. They also, obviously, Valve have honoured the ESIC bans and mirrored the ESIC bans. And PGL may not be an official partner, but anyone in the esports space can defer to ESIC at any time for the purposes of an investigation. It's in their purview. So anyway, everybody was warned. Everyone knew it was coming. Everyone thought it was okay, right? So let's just go through in order, right? Peacemaker's the worst one, because I've even seen people defending this, which I don't get. Also, by the way, you can see here, they even said these are the bans that people will get. 1 round with a third-person bug will be a 30-day ban. 3 rounds will be a 90-day ban, etc., etc., right? So they even told people this is the type of ban you can expect. Right, so let's watch the Peacemaker demo. This is Peacemaker's view in a competitive game of Counterstrike while he's in as a coach. I'm off. Can't catch me.
Bomb has been planted.
So there you go. Now, let's talk about that. That's 1 round. Sure, it's a round where it definitely looks to me that he's unquestionably benefited from it, right? Remember, he doesn't get the X-ray mode. That's just for the purposes of the demo. But obviously, he gets all the other cues that are there. That, to me, is probably worth a ban based on previous bans, precedent set. And that, by the way, is one of the most, egregious examples of the bug, of one of the coaching bugs. That one is super rare, but obviously when it happens, you can't just be zooming around in no-clip mode during a competitive match. Counter-Strike, you can't, right? So he's going to get a ban. I don't know how long it'll be. For me, personally, if I'm issuing sanctions, I don't know, 6 months, a year, you miss 1, 2 majors, probably appropriate, whatever. That's based on the framework that already exists. Now, where does the controversy start? ESIC alerted the affected teams today that, the bans are coming down from on high. Well, actually, it was yesterday, I think, or it might have been the day before even. And so what they decided to do was basically come out and call everyone's bluff a little bit and sort of put out the clip themselves. So let's talk about this clip. This is the big one. We'll get into the team spirit statement after we've looked at the clip. Here we go. Now, this is obviously not with team spirit, as you can see, although I won't get into the whole team spirit Espada thing, but those who know. Basically, the Espada team was sponsored by Team Spirit. It was kind of a way of bypassing the conflict of interest between the two teams. And if you go look at the transfers between players in the business that they did, it's very clear that it was an academy side by any other name, and yet they played each other in real tournaments, by the way, guys. So, again, I am not mad sympathetic towards Team Spirit because they're another org historically that, for my mind, have attempted to game the system when it comes to competitive integrity. But we're not going to talk about that tonight. It's not really relevant. Right, here we go. This is the bug. See, we got warm up. This is the coach's view again. So he's in the bug, right? This isn't, by the way, this position, not really optimal if you, certainly if you win the round on T side. I'll explain how it would have some limited benefits. But a lot of people were going, that's not even a good position to be in. If the round goes differently, it definitely is. First thing, I'll tell you, obviously, by being here ahead of your players, you can see if they've got the CT spawn where they can aggressively push in. So you can see this would be when a CT was coming. So obviously he could be communicating that right now. I don't know. Then the round goes very well for them. I think, you know, at this time, Espada with a much better team than Dracarys. He still stays here. But remember, he's still on the server. He's still in the game. He's still moving his mouse around. You can see from the radar, which, remember, he wouldn't have the full radar that you're benefiting from there. And there you go. Now, for this round, he is potentially going to miss out on a major. Now, I'll add as well that to me definitely looks like one of the harsher bans that are going to get issued, right? But let me just also explain. He's in the bug. He's clearly aware he's in the bug. He's moving his mouse. If that round goes a different way, that can be a very advantageous position to be in. You're in a position to call flanks. You're in a position to call early aggression. You know, it's not the optimal position if you were going to cheat as a coach. You wouldn't want to load in there. There's definitely other positions on the map that are much better, like you can get into the above the bomb site. But at the end of the day, they haven't stopped the game. They haven't said anything about it. So, based on the bans we've already issued, there has to be some form of penalty. Now, I want to make it abundantly clear, before we read Team Spirit's statement, these are all provisional suspensions. So, what does that mean? It means that based on the evidence ESIC have seen, they feel comfortable enough issuing a suspension. You then appeal that suspension, and then your sentence may get overturned on appeal, may get reduced on appeal, could get extended on appeal. It's an appeal. You present your evidence, you present your case. Sometimes people fuck themselves over at appeal. It goes like that, right? And yeah, for Halley, it's that one round. Zach's a different matter. We'll get to that. What does provisional mean if it's 2 days to the major and they take 2 weeks to answer or to appeal last time? Well, I agree. They've definitely taken a long time in the past. My understanding is there is nothing that suggests they're not on top of it right now. We've had like 3 releases in a short space of time from ESIC. And as I've already said, the Orgs were contacted a few days ago. Team Spirit have elected not to appeal, as we'll get to, but they want the benefit of complaining to the community instead and trying to eliminate ESIC, because why would a CIS region team want an investigative body to exist? But overall, I think, based on the other bans that have been issued, yeah, he's still getting a slap on the wrist. Unfortunately, that slap on the wrist means he's probably going to miss a major. Boo-hoo. Such is life. Anyway, off the back of that, Team Spirit put a statement out, which we'll read now. And it's so disingenuous and full of lies. There's valid criticisms, really valid criticisms you can issue towards ESIC. They're too slow. They're on demand. They're inconsistent. They've made errors of judgment in how they've dished out the punishments. Loads of stuff you can say. They need to be more public facing. Keep going. Just keep on going. I'm their biggest critic. This Team Spirit statement is fucking bollocks, because it just simply amounts to, why should we respect their authority? Well, I'll tell you why. We'll go into it. Team Spirit statement here. 2 pages, by the way. On the 5th of May, at 3 o'clock Central European Time, the coach of our CSGO roster received an official notification letter from the ESIC, they call them the ESIC, in which the organisation charged with using a coaching bug and notified him of the imposition of sanctions against him. We are making this publication in order to draw the attention of the community and Valve to the activities of the ESIC organisation and the consequences to which this activity may lead. Now, spoiler, all of this has been done with Valve's knowledge. One of the other reasons why it's hard for ESIC to be expedient is because they have to loop in Valve. They have to loop in all these other parties. Like, if you're the guy making the videos, you've got it easy compared to the people having to contextually explain why they're issuing the punishment based on the videos you made. And they have to let Valve know, and they've got to let the orgs know, and then they've got to get ready for an appeal, and they've got to do... Before you get acquainted with our perspective on the situation, you should carefully watch this video, the one I just showed you. This is the only moment in Halley's career when a coaching bug was noticed. It happened in a match played in 2019 at a tournament with teams from the top 50 HLTV ranking with a prize money of $10,000. Now, what they're trying to do there is manipulate you, a Zoomer, who loves teams and players and coaches and hates authority. They're trying to manipulate you there into going, why would we even cheat in a dog shit tournament? The stature of the tournament is completely irrelevant to anything that Halley may or may not have done. Now, let's get to the point. At the time of the incident, Halley had been working as a coach for 4 months. He didn't know about the existence of the bug and didn't try to cause it intentionally. Well, I will not call that out as a lie. I can't possibly know that. But I will say, by 2019, the idea that coaches weren't aware of a number of coaching bugs in these games seems absurd to me, even if you were a relatively new coach. It was clearly being talked about. We know historically it was being talked about in the CIS region. We know that because other CIS coaches, when the first 37 came down, they were saying, well, we knew about it all the time. And some of them even got banned after the fact, right? A huge part of any coach's job consists of watching his team's matches. And when the situation displayed in the video happens to you, you don't want to just log out of the server. You want to watch the round unfold and reconnect only after that. Here's the thing. That's not the correct process. The correct process isn't the bug has happened, I'll sit here and potentially get an advantage. Right, round over, I'll now disconnect and reconnect and hope the bug isn't there. No, that's not the process. The process has to be, I could have got an advantage that round, we should replay it. You should tell an admin that's what you're supposed to do. It shows a staggering lack of understanding of the problem in the first place from Team Spirit, that part of the statement. Because they are literally saying, when a bug happens to you, even one that could ruin the integrity of the team, you don't want to deal with it. You want to watch your players and get as much and watch the round finish. Yeah, that's the problem right there. You should be replaying that round. Now it starts to get good. What they've done there is prime your brain to think they are the victims of some outrageous circumstance. Good old honest Team Spirit. That's exactly what he did. Based on the content of the video above, it's absolutely not clear to us what benefit the team could get. Irrelevant, and obviously, as we've just talked about, there is benefits that you could get. And I can't believe a pro team doesn't understand that. During the entire time of this round, he didn't see a single opponent, yes, because the position you were in just happened not to confer any benefits based on how they approached the round tactically. During almost the whole round, the players of his team were in the same place where his camera froze, and they received all the information on their own. Almost the entire round, the camera was directed at his players, and this was directly related to the fact he wanted to watch his team and just do his job. This is the only moment in his career that the ESIC found a coaching bug abuse, and it happened right after the warm-up, when its occurrence is most likely. Coaching bug appears after the death of a player who is being watched by the coach. Now, we'd like to draw your attention to the actions of ESIC, not the ESIC this time, in response to this situation. From the procedural perspective, neither Team Spirit nor Halley know who the ESIC even are. We don't know who conducted this investigation and who made the decision on the punishment. Who is this commissioner to whom ESIC refers in their letter? No one has introduced us to their code, which they constantly refer to. No tournament operator uses their code as an official document in any of their tournaments. Now, this is a wall of lies. A wall of lies. Because, first of all, as I pointed out, Team Spirit have called for help from ESIC when everyone in the CIS region thought Akuma was cheating, right? They signed, here it is, they signed a letter. Now people were going, Richard, you've been so bad, you're taking them literally. You're a moron for taking them literally. Read what they said, right? They said, we don't know who the ESIC is or who the members are, right? Now, okay, I read that as they don't know who the body is. But this isn't even a gotcha, because the premise is they don't recognise ESIC's authority or have no faith in them to conduct an investigation. Yet here they are, signing a letter that specifically says, considering this, the Akuma issue, we ask that you involve ESIC or any other competent authority not only to conduct a full investigation into Akuma, but also to lay out protocols to ensure that this scenario will not occur again in the future. So you've literally signed a letter calling ESIC a competent authority, requesting that they come and investigate one of your opponents. So immediately, you know they're full of shit. Next up, right, they've got the absolute audacity to say it's not in any of the rule books. ESL would rather avoid being involved in this for fucking realsies. But look, even our best friend, the Flying DJ, ESIC in its code of conduct is specifically referenced in our CSGO rulebooks. I don't know how a team that has played in our tournaments can claim not to know their code of conduct. There it is. 5. Rule violations, punishments, and ESIC. By the way, you can download this if you don't trust the ESL. ESL and its competitions are part of ESIC, the Esports Integrity Commission. This means that all rules and regulations of ESIC apply to all ESL tournaments. You can look them up on their webpage here. The following subparagraphs are meant to give you an idea of what things are forbidden. For more detailed information, please visit the ESIC website. If you play in an ESL tournament, you are bound by that. It is your job to know that. If you don't know that, that tells me you don't read the rule books for the tournaments you enter, and therefore by extension should shut the fuck up about rules violations. You're not equipped. You haven't even done the basics of your job. Then, just to underline it, and you might go, well, it's only ESL tournaments, like Rich. It's only ESL tournaments. Listen, Vince, it might only well be ESL tournaments, but it's not. This is Messioso. He's now the GM of Complexity. He's a legendary admin. He used to be the head admin for Blast. It was fully in the Blast rulebooks, and they played Showdown in 2021. So they've entered a Blast tournament and still claim, who is the ESIC? Where are the ESIC? Why do we respect the ESIC? Nonsense. Then on top of this, just go and look. This is the ESIC members page, which anybody can go and look at, right? You can see all of these orgs joined. It's got the date they joined, all these tournament, right? We Play, right? DreamHack, ESL, E-Stars, Blast. Spirit are trying to tell their fans, and it's worked, and tell morons on Reddit, ESIC are like some sort of fly-by-night, shady company that think they can just ban people. But in reality, huge entities in the industry defer to them on these matters. By the way, sometimes that might be a massive fucking mistake. Not saying that. But Valve also do. And so, how could Team Spirit have seen that Valve banned those 37 coaches that got banned initially from majors in January 2021, and how can Team Spirit pretend that ESIC have no authority? Like, because, you know, they must have heard about that story. Again, if you don't know about that story and don't know Valve ratified those bans, are you even running a CS team? Are you even competent at that point? Someone in the chat there, I actually researched this. This is from MushX. I actually researched this. With the exception of like 5 local CIS tournaments, all of the tournaments played by Spirit since early 2020 have been hosted by ESIC partners. You know, I believe you, mate. I haven't had time to look at that shit, as you'll see why in a moment, because we've got a hashtag to go through as well. But anyway, it's also not clear to us where the power of these unknown people come from. By the way, keep calling them unknown. You don't need to know the individuals. You can even make an argument that for the purposes of investigation, it's better you don't know individual names, because then they can't be subject to any bullying, harassment, intimidation, or bribes. But the idea that ESIC is some shadowy group of, like a cabal of people, the founder has been on HLTV confirmed. They're not hiding. So it's also not clear to us where the power of these unknown people come from. All this leads to disappointing consequences, namely the lack of the possibility of satisfaction. The only entity we can turn to appeal the ESIC's decision is ESIC itself! ! Now, I'm a boomer, I'm a former sports reporter, so, you know, I probably don't know what I'm talking about. I'm also been a shop steward / trade union representative, so I've handled disciplinary proceedings. It is absolutely the norm, right, that a governing body that issues a penalty or a sanction is the first body you appeal to. You only go outside of the group if you're not satisfied. There's avenues to do that. The idea, so it's ESIC issuing the penalty and they immediately want to go, we want to go to someone else. No, your first appeal has to be with ESIC. It's not abnormal that the only people, but again, the Reddit morons and the HLTV morons, they've just bought this hook, line and sinker. Yeah, that's crazy. Imagine it. Someone even posted, ESIC have investigated themselves and found that they did nothing wrong. ESIC overturned all them Australia bans. What are you talking about? So there's not even precedent to make you think there's some sort of corrupt entity that wouldn't overturn things on appeal. There have been a number of people successfully appealed their bans, but they're not investigating themselves. They're putting forward a preliminary sanction inviting the parties to come present their side of the story, which they could have done any time during the last 14 months and chose not to, and then they will consider the new evidence and revise the ban accordingly, or not revise the ban accordingly. That's how an appeals process works. Moreover, they literally offered Halley a discount on the ban period if he just admits to all their charges without defending himself. By making this statement, we are giving up this amazing opportunity of a 25% discount on his punishment in order to try and influence the future of esports. I'll tell you what's happened there, because we saw this with Hunden, didn't we? Remember how Hunden said they blackmailed me and said if I appealed, they would extend my sentence? No, what they did was they sent you an appeals guideline that said, be aware, if you do appeal, your sentence can be extended. Guarantee you that's what's happened there. That's spin and bullshit. You wouldn't say to someone, if you appeal, we'll punish you more. That would be absolutely disqualifying. I even said on the By the Numbers, if I ever saw evidence ESIC had done that, like hard evidence ESIC had essentially tried to intimidate someone into not appealing, I would absolutely burn them to the ground. And guess what? It was exactly what I said it was when it was Hunden. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and say that is an out-and-out lie by Team Spirit. What has ESIC done for esports? So you already know we're getting into the good stuff now. What has ESIC done for esports? Oh, I don't know. Somehow clamoured to try and be a governing body in a business that is an absolute fucking sewer. By the way, at this point, let me tell you where I'm at mentally, right? I don't care if there's an ESIC anymore. I don't. You cannot be saved. This reaction is a prime example of why esports cannot be saved. You are all greedy, liars, thieves. You will partner with any sponsor. Doesn't matter if it's blood money, doesn't matter if it's shady gambling money, doesn't matter if they're scamming your audience, doesn't matter if they're selling them fucking garbage NFTs, doesn't matter if they're gonna fucking fund you. All the matches are fixed, all the players don't care, all the fans are disgusting and want to just fucking bully people trying to make esports more adult and more structured out of the scene with endless harassment. The fans have a permanent victim complex. They'll shit on a player they don't like, they'll worship a player they do like, The sins don't matter. We didn't even get all the fucking sexual assaulters and fucking scumbags out with our Me Too movement. Many skated and got away with it. It's garbage. Burn it all down. Burn it all down. I don't even want ESIC to try anymore. You deserve this. You deserve the next 4 years of esports where it will be sanitized, greedy garbage, where it will be a fucking one of your favorite women host in a fucking hijab in Saudi Arabia saying, and now we go over to Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman for today's execution. That's what you're heading towards. We let China get away with the Uyghur fucking genocide and we all just smiled about it cause money. You don't deserve for fucking esports to be good. None of you. Just admit you want to make money and then leave. You don't care about integrity. You don't care about honor. You don't care about human rights. You don't care about anything. You don't care about anything. I know you don't. None of you do. So anyway, that's where I'm at mentally with esports. And that is it's literally been proved to me, right? I write an opinion piece about like, hey, ESL, do you want to stop fucking advertising an entity that is literally murdering children in the Middle East? Seems a bit wildly inappropriate at the time, you know, with everything else that's going on. Nah, there's no response. It doesn't even make a ripple anymore. This is a monster now. It cannot be put back. We're literally being sponsored by murderous regimes. We're literally being sponsored by people that would perpetrate genocide in their own countries, airbrush black people out of products, like just open, like racism in broad daylight, open homophobia in broad daylight. You, as a games development company, will tell Americans, listen, it's Pride Month, here's a rainbow flag. You won't show it on your Middle East broadcast. You won't show it on the Middle East social media. You won't show it in China. You won't show it in Korea because you're all moral cowards. Let's just admit what it is. We discovered a vector to get into the lives of young adults and exploit them for money. In fact, I was working on an article the other day, right? Let me read you what I put, right? Because I can't get these sentences out of my head. Let me summarize the modern esports business model in a way that anyone can understand. It is scum using narcissists to exploit morons to make money. And 99% of the entities doing that fail at it. That's where we are. We are the latest corporate chew toy, soon to be discarded once we've lost all our spring and vigor. Stop me if that doesn't sound accurate, by the way. So, what has ESIC done for esports? Well, let's just list. What have the Romans done for us, eh? Well, let's list just a few of the things. So, first of all, they were one of the first entities after the huge match fixing wave across 2014-2015 that blew up with the iBuyPower story, which I did. They were the first entity to reach out to Valve, and Valve said, let's do like a harm assessment, a threat assessment for the possibilities of further match fixing. They presented that information to Valve, and obviously by then, we had all the fake fucking case opening sites, all the kiddie skins casinos, and they were probably instrumental in saying, look, we're going to have huge integrity issues across the esports side of things as well, and probably made Valve think about it some more. They were issuing match fixing bans in 2018 when ESEA got caught, when some members of ESEA got caught out. They've worked behind the scenes to kind of like get people to have a greater awareness of fixed matches and do more. They've issued bans across a number of esports for cheaters, people who've entered tournaments with fake IDs, all sorts of stuff. And obviously, they've dropped some of the biggest bans in the CSGO space. And like, remember, what have they done for esports? You didn't have a problem with them banning the coaches. They declare it their mission to fight for honesty and ethics in esports. But what have they really done? Have they somehow influenced the issue with fixed matches? Yes, they have actually banned match fixes in collaboration with tournament organisers. So yes. Issues with cheaters. Yes, they have banned cheaters. Yes, including the 37 coaches that were, for want of a better word, cheaters. Issues with the radar hack. This is referring to Akuma. They have an open and ongoing investigation into Akuma. No. They clung to the situation with Coachbug because they are literally unable to solve real problems, and they simply justify their existence by only attacking coaches who simply cannot defend themselves. This is their only way to stay relevant. I mean, this is like the argumentation of a child. This is their only way to stay relevant in the industry because they are of no use in anything else. Pay attention also when they made their investigation public. The video with the bug they sent us was uploaded on October 26, 2020. But now, literally a week before the start of the major, they accelerate the situation just to attract more attention to their activities. So maybe they even cheered for us at the RMR tournament. They didn't. No one did. They purposely accelerate the situation. The CSPPA asked them to purposely accelerate the situation. It is a major. They don't want any cheats at the major. If a cheat wins the major and then gets banned afterwards, it will destroy the reputation of that major. It will be terrible optics. It is better this way, unquestionably. Yes, it would have been better if they banned the 134 fucking people or whatever, all in one go, all back in that time when they banned the 37. But also they knew we're going to get slammed with fucking appeals if we do it that way. We're going to have to investigate all of these instances this way. And as I said, they had a massive internal shuffle. They're a business like any other. They're a startup like any other. We all know they've struggled for money. We all know they've struggled for staffing. Now we want to ask you, do you think our coach should lose his first opportunity to go to the major, which he achieved by working hard for many years? Your answer will not affect the situation with him being around his team in any way, but perhaps it will help someone avoid such a situation in future. So, that was Team Spirit's incredible, well-thought-out take on it. Now, let's go to the Reddit thread. Always good to get a temperature check on Reddit, see what people are saying. That is the complete statement that I just read to you, laid out. Team Spirit themselves posted this. So, the Spiffing Brit, everyone's favourite YouTuber, he just wades in, and because he's a known name, and he's posting on Reddit, just instant farming karma, his takes are terrible. Listen, I'm going to just say this. I got nothing against the guy. We've talked briefly. He asked me to commentate on a tournament and then pulled out because that's what a drama with another YouTuber occurred around about that time. But he is a casual player and doesn't understand anything about the esports side of things at all. He posed, I can't wait for ESIC to announce mid-major final that Carrigan used the coach bug in 2007 just to really get their name out there. Well, you'd have a hard time there. The fucking game didn't exist. So let him nor the coach bug. But people are upvoting it. He followed it up with, I think it's partly the amount of work they do. They made a big deal of watching, all the demos, and so if you don't get to ban a few people at the end of the day, what's the point? Ironically, the only way for ESIC to stay relevant is, again, by the way, if you think it's about relevance, you're a moron. It's just instantly disqualifying. If you use the words stay relevant about any of this, moron. You're just out. I'm sorry. The idea, by the way, that ESIC are trying to fucking, stay relevant. And yeah, what we'll do is, ahead of the biggest CSGO tournament, we will issue some bans and get absolutely fucking slammed for it and do all this extra work. No. It's got fuck all to do with relevance. They are trying to do the purpose for which they specifically exist. Things like match fixing takes a lot more effort to concretely prove and don't affect the big money tier 1 teams. So to get headlines, this kind of stuff makes much more sense. So there you go. Spiffing Brit. He's got the esports scene all figured out. Absolute joke to get a ban for that instant. Yes, he was in the bug, but he didn't gain any information at all on any point. Again, I've already shown you how ESIC say that is irrelevant to how they've issued punishments in the past and irrelevant to how they issue punishments moving forward, and it is indeed irrelevant. He could have, if the round plays out differently, he can gain information. So you either agree with that principle, in which case, by the way, if you don't agree with this, then we have to go back and overturn all the bans, and then now we're all up in the lawsuits and litigation and all. No, people fairly accepted on face value the first time around that, there were some people who were in the bug that, said, I didn't get any information. I wasn't at my desk. I didn't know what was happening. Think about Robban. Got banned in a game. He got smashed 16-1. He clearly weren't cheating, unless he is, literally the worst coach of all time. Also, in my opinion, ESIC having no oversight is a massive problem. ESIC do have oversight, right? So let me explain to you what the oversight is. First of all, the people that partner with them essentially are their lifeblood. So right there, that is oversight. Because if Valve don't like what they do, they just say, right, we won't respect your investigative authority anymore. If PGL don't want to support them, they go, we're not banning anyone based on your say-so. Suck my nuts. If ESL turn around and go, listen, look, you've had a bunch of L's in a row, all the Zoomers are doing this, and we're ESL, and we're fucking morally weak, and we just want to pander to Reddit, so we're not going to work with you anymore. There's the oversight. But not only that, in past instances of appeals, they've brought in external people for the purposes of working with appellants in the past, as you would. So there is oversight there. Of course there's oversight there. This is a joke. This is worse than Robban's ban. One pistol round in which he gained no info and called a tech pause immediately after. Referring to the what has ESIC done for esports, this was highly interesting to me. As Team Spirit is a high-tier org and only plays in higher-level tournaments, spoiler, they don't. They play in all them shady fucking... We are a gambling company that is running a tournament with strange results, working with a known data aggregation company that's also highly dubious. Are they suggesting that players' coaches using radar hack is an actual issue at that level of play? Other than open qualifiers, something like this has never been talked about by Tier 1, 2, 3 orgs. Oh, Gockle, my sweet naive friend. Every team that is an underdog team that beats one of these teams in these weird online cups all get accused of radar hack all the time. Ecstatic are the latest ones to be called from it. Remember, we've had people publicly call Bird from Sky, we're saying he's cheating as IGL. It was Akuma before that, obviously. I'm pretty sure people have accused Skade of it as well, the Bulgarians. So we're in this world, by the way, where people playing all these online tournaments, right? And they're going, but look, they're definitely cheating over there. Like, you can't even have a good day with these top tier teams. And then when you try and hold them accountable for anything, they flip it round and go, we wouldn't do that. We wouldn't cheat. Do you think he's told us anything there? Do you think he's communicated any information there? He's just worked really hard. Oh, I get it, Team Spirit. Yeah, I get it. Rules for thee. I get it. Very concise and logical from Team Spirit. I started doubting all their wins when I read about their coach, but this changed my mind. Isn't ESIC also the people who discovered a lot of players stream sniping, but then decided not to do anything about it? Well, what happened there was, with the ESIC, what happened there was there was a bunch of teams breaking the stream sniping rules. They were not necessarily stream sniping. They were just breaking the rules. And so what they did was they said, like, listen, you've all been doing it in this tournament. We're going to have to ban everyone. So let's just make sure we all know the rules and follow them moving forward. And then when Vitality still didn't do that, at Blast, they fined them $10,000. You can decide whether it's nothing or not. I would have disqualified them. I made that point on social media. Spoiler, community then was like, Richard Lewis is just a dickhead. He's just trying to stay relevant. It's like, no, they broke the rules. Kick him out the tournament. He's trying to stay relevant. Vitality management on at me. We're allowed to do that at Blast. We're allowed to have 20 people with our phones out around our players. If Blast allow that, then fuck Blast. I'm not trying to stay relevant. I just didn't want the scene to degenerate into the sewer it is now. I failed. No one listened. I don't care anymore. It's fine. Have it. As I said earlier, have it. Have it. The initial public instances of the coach bug were clearly exploitative and shameless, which is interesting because I guarantee this guy didn't watch them all, didn't watch all the videos. The coaches deserve their punishment. Lately, it just feels like they've jumped the shark with these accusations. Every time I hear about it, it's just some poor dude who had a bug happen to him for one round and didn't even act on it. Especially when it's not even current stuff, but episodes they're digging into from years ago when the coach bug was unknown or just discovered. ESIC standards are absolutely fucking insane for these bans. This bug is holding back the pro scene, but going over the top for singular rounds is just making everything worse. ESIC need permission from Valve, which they've got. No one control them, and they work really slow. These guys do almost nothing at pro scene. Only hype. Remember Akuma's story with 0 bans? Fuck the ESIC. It's just ridiculous having this much of a delayed ban. Power hierarchies are really bad. Welcome to the Politburo, my brother. And always get abused I'm still baffled ESIC has powers like this, and especially being able to delay bans. ESIC's whole stance about cheating is so very rule utilitarianism, and you'd think for an organisation that's focused on ethics and integrity within esports, they would be a bit more understanding and willing to hear teams and players out. Yes, that's why they've invited them to appeal their case. Sorry, this very much feels like a PR stunt. ESIC going, see guys, we are relevant. Who the fuck are ESIC? There's no face of any of their members on their website. Not to mention, their site ending in a .gg makes it a bit of a joke. Get ESIC out of CSGO. This organisation is absolutely incompetent and useless. It has failed in every single regard. It does not complete investigations on time. It sets absolutely absurd precedents. And then the only place to appeal is ESIC itself. I was more tolerant of their failings up until this point, but them bungling the match-fixing investigation and the bans that handed out to Robban and here make me think they need to be driven out immediately. In this case, something is way worse than nothing. Who is ESIC? Who is the commissioner? Why are they self-regulated? ESIC exists now only as a punishment force. I'd like to make an adult series of videos called that. Punishment force. ESIC exists now only as a punishment force. They didn't have any interest to deal with the cases. No, clearly not, right? They just want to punish people who can't defend their own rights. Like coaches. I mean, this guy just, you can see the team spirit lies to brain dead moron pipeline at work here. Why can't coaches defend themselves? How do they have no rights? What are we talking about here? Like, why is that? Why is that a reality? ESIC, with their investigations, don't have any presumption of innocence. Even if you accidentally trigger a bug, you're automatically guilty. And the only thing that they offer to plead you're guilty and reduce your ban. That's like they are threatening those who can be punished. And there is no clear force to oppose ESIC. Because there is no structure like CAS in sports. How disgusting. Seems like this organisation is the biggest joke that have ever been in esports history. I agree, all cheaters should be banned, but ESIC didn't their work properly. Just fuck off, ESIC. That's a good one. Let's be real. ESIC is the equivalent of a referee committee managed by middle school kids for Beyblade tournaments in Courtyard. Shout out to Beyblade there. This guy, by the way, was all over this thread and was just saying absolute nonsense, saying they didn't even investigate a so this is their only witness, they're irrelevant. This is it. ESIC is purely a joke. They don't care about actual frauds and competitive integrity by banning obvious cheaters like Akuma. They also don't care if some players knew about the bug. Banning coaches for arbitrary amounts of software bugs happening while they are using the software is kind of their shtick. ESIC basically consists of the commissioner, Ian Smith, I think, who is arbitrarily deciding on random rules and who gets banned for how much. If he doesn't like you, you have no chance to win any dispute with them, even if there is evidence. They don't care that players are blatantly cheating by using external software or direct info from bookies. They get various specialists for different areas, even for things like autism experts, just to release a report which is 80% about a player having Asperger's, but have no resources to get a simple photograph to prove that a player has been watching an external device during the game, for which there is video evidence even. They like to swing their cord around like a dick. But fact is that it doesn't even have clauses in it like players reporting members of their team cheating. Kinda like, if I close my eyes, I don't see anything bad. And them especially doing it now, the investigation that supposedly was finished and 30-something coaches have already been banned, they're coming yet again with this bullshit. It's like they're chasing adults that have stolen some sweets as a 6-year-old kid 30 years ago. Upvote this so we get answers. The Reddit mindset. Another reason why pandering to Reddit is one of the most despicable things any company in esports can do. Because you just basically are saying, yep, the next witch hunt is valid. Who the fuck is ESIC? The point of ESIC banning at this time is for retention. This has been known for a while. Fuck the people who exploited the bug, but fuck ESIC for exploiting this situation and dragging these announcements on to fuck people over. So, Reddit have decided ESIC are the bad guys. Team Spirit say so. Team Spirit's 2-page statement, full of lies and contradictions, is actually the correct. There is only binary, you know. So we can't stack valid criticisms for ESIC alongside valid criticisms for the coaches and valid criticisms. We can't do that. So we just have to pick a side. And obviously Team Spirit, the big W, regular W for Team Spirit. Another L for the ESIC. That's what we have to do. That's the level of discourse around any topic in this business now. Right, so that was Team Spirit, but of course they were not alone, as Michael Jackson might have sung. You are not alone. Yeah, that song didn't age well, actually, as the kids say, did it? That one. That is kind of upsetting, really. So, another player that got banned was obviously Peacemaker, obviously Halley, and as was confirmed by PGL themselves, just to see this isn't just the ESIC. Right, so remember, this is a Valve partner running a major with Valve's input and obviously ESIC's input, and they have chosen to, you know, do these bans, basically. And you can see already, L, we got an L here, we got an L and a ratio there. They're wilding the protests, but you can see the other guy is Zach from the 9, who is currently coaching over at 9Z. Now, 9Z were the big underdog team, weren't they? They were like the ones that everybody loves because they've come from nowhere. So here is Zach's tweet about it. Well, friends, it looks like I'm banned from an investigation that was concluded 40 months ago, but they decided to notify 3 days before the major. Unfortunately, I didn't have the memory to remember 2 rounds. Spoiler, it's 2 rounds of this bug, and then he's used another bug as well, because I've seen the list. I didn't have the memory to remember 2 rounds. One, I'm sure I was away, and I came back at the time of the live. So that's what he said. And then this led to free Zach. We must free Zach. Hashtag free Zach. So let's just quickly also go back to Reddit's reaction about this ban. I can't show you the hashtag because unfortunately it's full of vampires. It's full of vampire penises and people corral hoeing and death threats and horrible abuse. So I can't show you that. So here we go. 14 months to proceed with the ban. Whether Zach deserves it or not, they fuck 9Z with their incompetence. This is a thread about how, you know, it's Valve's fault somehow because they don't communicate with the scene. For people that said he deserved the ban, the coach clarified he got banned for 1 round, a knife round in 2018, and didn't really get any info on the round itself, right? And said, I guess cheaters would never lie. Now, I'm guessing, because this is from 6 hours ago, I'm guessing these are the clips we need to look at. So anyway, just so you know, hashtag free Zach, you know, free everybody, right? That we like. Let's have a look at the coach bugs that he used, right? This is the first. Overpass. Keep in mind, he is literally coaching the team that he would be coaching now at this moment. Here. Oh, did he move? This is his point of view, yes. Right? So you saw the mouse move there. So we know he's at his desk. It's still warm up at this moment in time. Right? So, understand, this is one of the most advantageous positions, by the way, to be in on the coaching bug. One of them, not the most, there's other ones. This is a very good spot to be in, right? For obvious reasons. You can see multiple rotates, spot boosts. So here we go, round underway. Remember, nobody can argue that he's not at his desk or anything like that, because we did see him move in the warm-up. And with the coach bug, it's weird. Different ones are activated in different ways, but generally there are ways to trigger the spot specifically that you want. So the high level people do it right now. So you saw there, they started around and then they hit it up again. So this is match start. And then he comes out of it, right, when the round is all but one. So that's one instance, right? This one was back when he was playing for Luminosity. So let me just set the scene on this one. I should be able to see from the score. I think this might be the one he's claiming that he wasn't even there for. It's a United versus Luminosity. Luminosity need to win to force it again into overtime because it's 18-17. He's in the bug. He's moving. Now, think again, contextually, about all the information you can glean from this spot. Right? There's one. There's two. He's following him. He watched where he went to. He's seeing if he's coming back. Looks again. Looks again. Trying to hedge his bets with sound cues by standing between the two equidistant. Now he's concerned with what's going on over there. And you can see from the radar, if you're looking, obviously, you know, they've fully committed, done a full send to the bomb site. So looking back there now, just checking, just chilling, and Luminosity end up winning this round. And there you go, more overtime. So those two instances from the same coach, right? But he's like, oh, it's just one round that I forgot. But he also, there is another bug. It's just he used two different bugs. So this is, again, Zach when he was at Luminosity against MIBR, right? This is what the third person bug is like, right? So this is nowhere near as effective as obviously the no clip or the static camera. This is the weakest of the bugs. And this makes up the bulk of the bug abuse, if my memory serves me correctly. But what you can do with it is you can stay behind players and basically use it to clear corners, clear angles. You can still gain information in the game. Right? So, again, he's moving his mouse. He's skipping around. He could say, oh, guys, got bug, you know, can we fix this? I'll skip to the bit where the round starts. And again, I've seen this clip. I remember it. It's not as you'll see, there's nothing that you really gain for it. But look, he does try. He goes here, then he goes back to the guy who's at the front, and then watch this bit on this corner at long on overpass. He's trying to get the angle to see if there's somebody there. So you know, very hard to make an argument. Very hard to make an argument he's not trying to use the bug to his advantage, right? And then there's one more. This, again, is when he was at 9Z. So there is an argument you can make, I guess, because some of the abuse happened while he was at his current team. It is appropriate to penalise them in some way as well. Not an argument I would necessarily subscribe to, but whatever. And here he is in the third person. Again, 9Z have already won. It's their bye round. This time he's got an elevated bird's eye view. Not the most useful. Not in this situation. This is easily the weakest of all of the clips. You can see he's just swapping around with players. But again, there are situations on Nuke where having that view, verticality, could confer you an advantage. But that one, to me, bit of a nothing burger. If it wasn't for the other three, I'd sort of be inclined to just give a warning for that one. It wouldn't really affect me all that much. Now, let's get back to the Freezac, because one of the things that people were talking about is 9Z were like, ESIC cancelled his flights, they were saying. They said he cancelled his flights. Now, obviously, right, ESIC can't do that. ESIC cannot cancel his flights to the major. If the flights are booked by PGL, obviously it's only PGL that could do it. I need to find where they make the claim so you can just see it. Yeah, here it is. I think we're free of vampires and whatnot here, actually. I think we're good. I can't translate that here on the stream, but I will read it to you. How can it be that Valve software, days before the major, my coach gets banned for something from 2018, and they prohibit him from entering the practice room at the tournament? The funniest thing is that flights were cancelled as punishment. Please file messages to PGL Esports with the hashtag FreeZac. And you can see, obviously, strong uptake for Zach being free. Even though, as you can see, he's clearly violated the rules and has clearly abused the bug and was one of the more egregious offenders and will therefore receive a punishment, in my opinion, quite rightly. Now, this is going to blow up, and we can have a little bit of a debate about this part. So, if ESIC had informed teams' coaches of these findings 5 days prior to the beginning of the major, instead of 3 or 4 days, the teams could have changed their coach and sub-roster submission prior to the lock. Was this a major oversight or an intentional punishment? Key parts of the text above are deliverables required of the tournament organizer, not necessarily of the teams themselves. This particular part could be TO to Valve, in which case perhaps the TO can set the deadline earlier to ensure they make their own deadline. And you can see here, this is in the deliverable bit. So, if that's accurate, I can sympathise a little bit. I said this, I don't see why, for a cheating infraction that happened years ago when you weren't even on the team you're on, I don't see why the team should be penalised. But realistically, had the bans come out earlier, would they even be on the team in the first place to get to the major that they're talking about today? It's negligible, right? You don't really know. You have to go into an alternate timeline. I'll also just note, not one person has complained about outsiders, as they will be known at the major, not being allowed to take their coaches or support staff. Not one person's complained about that on Reddit, on Twitter. So, just so you know, because of the sanctions against Russian teams right now, the ruling from PGL, according to Virtus Pro, was they were told the players don't count as working for Virtus Pro, but the staff do, so they will not have any coaches, they will not have any support staff, they're not allowed. So they're at a competitive disadvantage as well. And all that's happened there is we've applied a bunch of inconsistent sanctions because we haven't thought things through to their logical conclusion. So I don't know how I feel about that. I think that's unfair personally. no one's coming along for the ride from me. With me, like I said, I think banning a Russian flag next to a Russian player that's has said I stand for peace and plays for a Ukrainian organization. I don't think that's helping. I think there's a tacit implication there that all Russians are in some way complicit or bad, and I don't think that's going to help us ever get back to a good place ever again, assuming we ever could. So I'm a rarity on this discussion, on this topic. But ultimately, I'll say, if this is accurate, yeah, they probably should have stepped it up and done it a little bit sooner. But everything else I've said also applies. You must have known you were in there. You must have known you were in the mix. Like, you could have gone at any time to ESIC or Valve or your team, raised your concerns if you're a coach. And ultimately, we're talking about 3 coaches. And ultimately, 2 of them are nailed on they abused the bug. Hallie, it's a harsh one. It's brutal. I think it'll get reduced on appeal. He'll still miss the major, though. Such is life. So I'm hoping that sort of cleans it up a little bit. But people are going to lose their motherfucking minds when they see some of the other bands. I'm just telling you. Some bands are literally like, well, or rather some instances, it's like half a round of someone in third-person mode. And they're probably going to get 30 days. So I'm trying to prepare y'all for where we're at. There's like 132 or 134 of this. But that's where it's going to be. And once it's done, it's fucking done. It's over. We're never going to have to deal with any of this shit again. ESIC should have definitely got round to doing this quicker. Now, what I think is interesting is Michał, the guy who pulled all the demos, like, I'll be honest, I like Michał. I think he's done great work. When I was on the Esports Awards panel, full disclosure, I still am. I'm a guy that votes on who wins the Esports Awards every year, which is why I give them to all my friends in the old boys club. No, obviously, I don't do that. Anyone will tell you I'm actually like a mad fucking stickler for the rules. But anyway, as you can probably imagine knowing me, the reality is... like, I put him forward for the nomination as one of those, one like that unsung hero award of the year, because I think he deserved it. I think the work he did with that other guy, Dudenhofer, I think was fucking stellar work. But I don't think he's helping anyone with stuff like this right now. Like, as you've seen, ESIC's authority, ESIC's credibility is it's under siege. And basically, he says on this tweet, I don't know. I have no idea why ESIC released those clips now and not over a year ago. I'm just providing you transparency so you can see for yourself what was banned for what. So I don't think that's helping. For me, it's like, yeah, they've had him for a while, but also, like I said, it's when you're talking about 134 potential sanctions, what do you do? Like, how do I make that super quick? How do I contextualize what's an accident, what isn't? Personally, and I told ESIC this, I said what I would have done is I would have thrown out there just a warning for all the people who had the 1 round infractions. I would have just given them a warning saying, remember your obligations in future. But it looks like they're going to get 30-day bans, which, I think is a bit harsh. But, there's still some big names to come. Like, obviously, we've already seen the Malek clip. That's going to be a drama. We've already seen Valens, right? I mean, that's out there. That's public. Just in case people forgot. This is already public. And by the way, the reaction from the community, again, was, this is all clickbait on Deserto. This isn't a big deal. Right? Here we go. Team Liquid Cloud9. Remember when that game used to mean something, guys? You can see it's already been public, so there's comments on it as well. I'm not revealing anything. But you can see he's got the free roam bug. He's zipping in and out. He's having a move. He's got the Peacemaker Productions, right? And then, here we go. Round starts. Guys, how can we... why wasn't this made a bigger deal of at the time? Why did people say this is clickbait? at the time. Why? I'll just go up above the smokes. No big deal. Like, I remember talking about this with Lewis, like because he put it out, and people were downvoting him on Reddit. Like, he was trying to explain why he felt the story was important and necessary, right? And that clip was in that story. That clip that you've just seen, right, which is as bad as Peacemakers, if not worse. And everyone was going, it's just clickbait. Valens wouldn't cheat. Anyway, he's a good lad. Right. Brilliant. By the way, he's on this list like about another 4 or 5 times with different bugs. And he's not a bad dude, by the way. He's not a bad dude. Not a bad dude at all. But him trying to pretend that he doesn't know what's going on there when he's like some fucking machine learning fucking guru from MIT or whatever the fuck. Yeah, that's just, it's not going to fly. It's not going to fly with me, like. So anyway, that is where we're at with ESIC. Now, it's about to snowball out of control and get even worse, because I can tell you there's another ESIC release coming out. And so it's just going to flare it all up again. Yep, and it's coming out today. And it's going to be a breakdown of the bans, the evidence. It's going to link to the evidence we just looked at. It's going to explain the sanction. It's going to explain the appeals process. And everyone's just going to pretend like that's not full transparency. Like, you have to understand, ESIC, I know, have fucked up a bunch, but they're trying to get better, and they're trying to be a process-oriented body. So everyone gets treated the same no matter what. All the process is the same no matter what. You can appeal to them no matter what. I don't know if I'm, like, a purist. I've got little sympathy based on the bugs that I saw. The Halley one is the only one I could even be moved by at all. And as I said, it being framed as, who are the ESIC? Look what they've done. Da-da-da. And just on top of this as well, right? This is a pal of mine. Guy called LMBT. You might have heard of him, right? He's been saying that he's going to dish the dirt on ESIC and talk about how he got investigated. Because if you remember, he got banned. He had a successful appeal. Then I don't know if he's on the next wave of bans. Don't know if he's on the list again. But he's like, if some serious journalists want to have a real story about ESIC official, drop me a message. And he tagged Lewis Mira, Sponge, HLTV, Striker, Don Hassey, known journalist, and DK, who's obviously retired. So, you know, it's just childish. It's just childish nonsense. These are the growing pains you're going to have to go through if you want a clean scene. If you don't want a clean scene, spoiler, nobody wants a clean scene. Nobody wants a clean scene. You don't want it. You clearly don't want it. Your actions prove it that you don't want it. It's just ridiculous. So I'm looking forward over the next few days when even people that I'm like good friends with and colleagues that I respect are going to tear all this ESIC stuff down. I'm not saying they're without flaw, but I'm not getting into that too much here because I'm trying to present sort of a coherent argument as to why these overreactions are ridiculous and show a complete lack of understanding as to what's happened and why it's happened now, and also a lot of disingenuous arguments about it.